And yeah, overall, these guys are not a bad batch of figures. No, who put that in there? Don't put that in there. Hello everyone, it is Briximus Prime, back for another action figure review for Star Wars The Black Series, and I'm reviewing The Black Series, Star Wars The Black Series Bad Batch. Now, I'm only looking at the main squad members. I don't count Omega. Anyway, without further ado, let's just get right on into this video by starting off with Hunter, and then we'll go down the list. And just quickly going over the packaging here, the packaging all comes together with a nice image of the squad all lined up there. I love how that looks. And all of them have the open window, says Black Series, their name, and Bad Batch, and on the back of each of the packaging. And each and every one of the figures all has a bio at the back of the packaging, and if you can even read those at all, you can pause them and read each one of them. Can't really see Hunter's all that well, but you guys get the general idea. So Hunter here comes with a pretty basic amount of accessories. He's got his backpack here, which is the same backpack basically the exact same backpack that the Clone Commando boss had, and that simply just plugs in on the back of the figure. And then he's also got his little X-Acto knife. He's got his little knife right here. Can't remember the exact name of it, but that just slots in on the little arm guard right there. And then he's got his rifle and his pistol. Now, the only problem with these two weapons is they have nowhere to go on the figures when you're not using them. I have tried to get this to plug into there, and maybe you can try to fidget this in there and make it peg in on the backpack, and then the pistol you can have fit in his hand. But if you want him to hold the rifle and not the pistol has nowhere to go. So my main complaint is that this guy has no holster for the rest of his stuff. And here is taking a look at Hunter. His helmet looks very good. I like the way how his helmet came out with the amount of paint and detail that was detailed onto this helmet. Very nice looking figure right here. Nice battle damage, and you can in fact remove the helmet, and he has a face underneath. Now, some of you might be wondering, why does he look so weird? Well, it's because the Black Series all have this in-universe kind of design where they try to make each of the characters, including the animated ones, look like they came out of a live-action film. So this is basically what they did. They basically just took Tamora Morrison's face on all these guys, put it through Photoshop, and tried to basically make the Bad Batch. But overall, I like the way how it looks. I like the bandana with the little skull, the face paint and everything looks great. Overall, I feel like Hunter is not the worst one that came out for these faces. One of the things I would like to point out about these figures that's so cool, and again, if you watched my Clone Commando boss review, you'll know this, but there are tons of molded in scratches and detail of battle damage all over the figures, really getting the point across that these guys have seen a lot of fighting and a lot of battle. And it's not just on Hunter here, it's on all of them, even though most of them are brand new molds. And overall, I like the way how it looks, and they've got little bits of silver paint and dry brushing to kind of bring out some of those details in some spots. But overall, the figure is got pretty much the exact same molding and sculpting as the Clone Commando boss, just he has the updated paint apps and then that new head. So overall, pretty basic figure. Now, I'm going to get into Crosshair next. I know I haven't covered the articulation yet on Hunter, but the reason why I haven't covered it yet is because Crosshair and Hunter share the exact same parts. So I'm going to cover Crosshair first and then go over the articulation as for both of them because they both share it. So Crosshair here, again, very nice helmet here. Looks very nice to his original animation model. You can hinge down the little sight right there. And he's got the big open eye right there. And overall, very, very nice molding, sculpting, and everything going around on the helmet, as well as the torso and all the body. The body here is the exact same one as the rest of the Hunter, only except he's got an added holster, which, why does he have a holster and Hunter didn't? He's got this little, poncho and, this little, shoulder pad, and then he's got the new shoulder pads right here. He's got this little fin right there, and he's got, just the new ones, and they're made of a soft, pliable plastic, so they get out of the way for articulation. We'll cover that in a second. And Crosshair here also comes with a blaster pistol, and then now we'll go over his backpack. His backpack is different from Hunter's in the fact that it is able to carry his big gun, which splits into two parts, just like the cartoon. It's got a big slot for the gun to slide in. You can have this gun like this. I guess you could have that as a gun on its own. And then obviously you can attach the barrel attachment. And there you have the actual sniper rifle for Crosshair. I wonder if they'll end up coming out with any other attachments for this gun. That'd be interesting. And the backpack just plugs in the same way as Hunter. And then just taking a quick look at that head underneath. In my opinion, Crosshair has the worst looking head. He looks almost nothing like his animation model. I feel like even with the stylized animation, I feel like this guy should still look a little bit skinnier. He still looks a little too chubby in the face, in my opinion. But I do like his little tattoo scar, crosshair thing on his eye. The gray hair did come out pretty well, though it does look a little flat. But overall, I feel like this guy is not that great. But he's not the worst of them. And, like I mentioned before, we'll cover over the articulation. Again, other than those new parts, the molding and sculpting here is the exact same as Hunter, right down to the battle damage. So anyway, going over the articulation, both of the heads on Hunter and Crosshair are on double ball joints, one in the head and one at the base of the neck, which allows for some very nice up, down, side to side, head tilt, all that good stuff. Shoulders can rotate a full 360 with the shoulder pads being independent. The shoulders can move outward that far. They can move down. They do have a elbow swivel, 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. Both of the wrists rotate, and this one hinges in and out, where this one hinges up and down. Diaphragm joint right there. You can get a better look at it on Hunter here. He's got a nice diaphragm joint, which allows for a waist rotation, diaphragm pivot, arching back in a crunch. Hips can move outward. They can move forward that far. They can move back that far. Upper thigh cut, single jointed knee that bends over 90 degrees. Knee swivel, ankles move down. They can move up, and ankle pivot on both of these guys. So that's the articulation on these two. And then moving from
Hunter and Crosshair.
Here we have
Tick.
And Tech here, in my opinion, is probably one of the best figures of this whole set. Mostly because this guy has so much detail jam-packed into him. And also, this guy is probably the most common figure to find for if you want to start collecting your Bad Batch Black series. This guy's probably the most common one you're going to find. But yeah, he's got the helmet here. This guy is entirely brand new to my knowledge. I'm not aware of any of these being reused parts. And overall, I like the helmet and the overall color scheme. The molding looks very, very nice. And again, he does have some battle damage throughout the figure. It's not as major as some of the other characters, which makes sense for Tech, because Tech is more of the tech-savvy person instead of being on the front line. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't do his fair share of fighting. And his accessories are limited to a single blaster pistol for some reason, even though Tech clearly dual wields. But again, just like Hunter, he has no holster whatsoever to holster those guns, and it's annoying. The backpack, like I showed earlier, can come off. That's another accessory. And then Tech also comes with this rack of tools on his belt. So very nice little accessories that you can get here. And then taking a look underneath the helmet, this is the worst head sculpt, I think, of the live-action looking characters. I don't like his military-esque haircut, receding hairline, but my main complaint is this guy does not have his goggles on. Tech never takes off his goggles. Like, why would we ever see him like this? But anyway, his is the worst in my opinion, so I just leave the helmet on him like all the time. Going over the articulation, the visor here can hinge downwards. You can have that look as well. The head is on the double ball joint, just like Hunter and Crosshair, so he can look about up that far. He can look down that far. He's got the head swivel. He can pivot from side to side. Shoulders rotate full 360. Slight butterfly joint, but not really. Shoulders can move outward that far. Again, these are made of pliable plastic to accommodate. Swivel at the elbow. Bend at the elbow, which is about 90 degrees. Wrists both rotate and hinge in and out, and then this one hinges up and down. And then he gets a upper diaphragm joint just like the other figures, only his ab crunch is limited and his arcing back, and his side to side is also pretty limited. It's mostly just for waist swiveling. Hips can move forward that far, they can move back that far, and even with this stuff right here, it does not hinder his articulation. Bend at the knee. Oh yeah, swivel at the thigh, forgot to mention that. And he also has the swivel at the knee. And then his ankles don't really move up, but they can move down, and he's got some nice ankle pivot. So very good articulation here on Tech, and I still do think this guy is one of the best looking figures. Now moving on to
Wrecker.
This guy is big and chunky. This guy is the only figure, obviously, of the set that is the only deluxe figure. And the deluxe figures basically are just bigger figures, and so Hasbro uses them as excuses to give them a bigger price tag. But anyway, looking at Rekka here, he's got a very nice looking helmet. This guy's helmet has always been my favorite of the Bad Batch, and I love how he's got the big 99 right there on the head, and I like this very skull-esque look for the helmet. Very chunky and bulky looking. He kind of looks like one of the Marines from the Warhammer games and whatnot.
For the Emperor!
But yeah, I like how he looks, and I love how much battle damage this guy has. He has just as much as the other figures, only he has a lot more surface area for all this battle damage. And I like the shoulder pads, very, very nice bits of detail. His backpack is different than everyone else's, and it connects on the same way. Only his is a kind of a looser fit, and that's a bit of a complaint. But I like a lot of the detailing and everything on it, though. And again, battle damage is all over the place on this guy. And again, bits of silver dry brushing just to bring out some of those extra details. And I love how this guy looks and feels. He's a very chunky figure with no loose joints. None of these guys feel loose. His head underneath doesn't look bad. It's probably the closest looking to Tamora Morrison, but obviously he has the one eye and he's got a bit of the scarring and whatnot, and it looks really good. I mean, I like the way how it looks. His is probably the one that bothers me the least, and the more I look at it, the less it looks, the more it looks like Tamora Morrison. But yeah, very nice stuff going on for Wrecker. His articulation is that he's also got the double ball joint, but this big ol' piece at his shoulder really hinders him looking up. He can look down a little bit. He can rotate his head all around, and it can pivot from side to side. And then the shoulders, with the shoulder pads, can still rotate a full 360 without them getting in the way. He also gets a butterfly joint, which is a lot more noticeable than the other three figures. This keeps falling off. Bend at the elbow. He gets an elbow swivel. Wrists can rotate. This one hinges in and out, while this one hinges up and down. So you get the idea. He's got the same diaphragm joint, which allows for arcing back, crunch, pivot, and waist swivel. Hips can move forward. They can move back. Not at all. Thigh swivel. Single bend at the knee, but bends. Single bend at the knee, but bends over 90 degrees. Ankles can hinge up, down, and he can pivot. And then finally, this guy does come with his huge knife. And this is definitely one of the coolest accessories this guy has got. And I have had a lot of fun posing this guy with this knife. And then moving on to
Echo.
This guy is the most recent figure to come out of the Bad Batch line. And just going over the accessories really fast, he does also have a backpack as well, only it connects on in a different way than the other figures have had. And then his helmet is also removable, we'll get to that in a second. And then he also comes with a blaster pistol as well, though except just like Hunter and Crosshair, he actually has a holster to holster his pistol. So thank goodness for that. Also, he's got his little nub arm, and he has this accessory right here, which I'm assuming this is his Grapple Arm, which is in Season 2 of the Bad Batch, and that just attaches on to his arm just like that. And sadly, it's not articulated or anything, and if you remove this, it looks like a big old gun on his arm. But anyway, removing that and getting that out of the way, he looks awesome. I have to admit, this guy really surprised me quite a bit when I got him out of the packaging. I love the visor, very clean. I like this helmet design so much. And I like his almost like very buggy kind of shell looking armor plating here. He's got the skull right there, and he's got a lot of battle damage. He's even got a little bit of some carbon scoring right there. Again, overall, the detail on this guy is actually on par with Tech. I like a lot of the a lot more of the color highlights of red right here, especially here on the kilt. And then he's got these new knees, which really indicate that he's got the robotic legs still, which is nice. And then obviously the robotic arm. The FYI, out of the box, the elbow joint on this robotic arm was very, very tight. That I thought this was one solid piece. I thought there was no elbow joint when I first opened it. So just FYI, be sure to either heat up that plastic and move it just a little bit, or like me, I just kept on trying to move it without breaking it, and it's just on a little soft ratchet. So anyway, now going over the head here. The helmet attaches on with this. Let me move the backpack so you can see better. He has this little crease right here, which you kind of get your thumb in there, and you kind of prop it open like that. It's got a little pin and hole that kind of connects it together, and then you can remove it off of his face. And then there is his best. This guy has the best looking head sculpt of everybody from this line for the live action looking heads, because let me get a little bit of light off of him. I like how pale he looks. I like how he's got that pale face, and he's also got the mechanical stuff going around in his head, makes him look kind of like Lobot. And then overall, he looks the most like his animation model in live action appearance, and I like the way how it came out. Definitely looks more like the animation model more than Tamora Morrison, but there's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, going over the articulation on this guy, doesn't matter if he has the helmet on or not. The helmet is a little bit fidgety to get on, but it is doable. Going over the articulation on Echo, his head can hinge not up that far. He can look down a little bit. Head can rotate from side to side, and then a little bit of pivot and all that. His is the most limited neck joint. He does have the butterfly joints. Shoulders can rotate a full 360. These are made of rubber, so they accommodate for him moving out. And then he does get and then they rotate full 360. He gets the elbow swivel, bends over 90 degrees. Wrist hinges in and out, and then this bends on the soft ratchet, like I mentioned. He's got a diaphragm joint, which I like the ab detailing right there. He has an arcing back and a crunch, can pivot from side to side, way swivel. Hips can move forward that far as long as you rotate them. Can't really, actually, they move back actually pretty far. Hips can move outward about that far with these skirts right here. Thigh swivel, because it's kind of limited. Bend at the knee. And then he's got a knee swivel right there. So very nice. I like these little knee pads again. Ankles move up. They can move down. And he's got some ankle pivot. And, oh man, was that a lot of figures. These guys look great together. And it feels like if you own one, you gotta get the rest. Just good luck on actually, finding them. And now for comparisons, here is the Bad Batch with the Star Wars Republic Commando boss. And now that I think about it, probably should have saved this guy for a whole Delta Squad review, like where I review him as a whole squad, but yeah, whatever. Here they are with the Black Series B1 Battle Droid, and I basically bought this figure to be a punching bag for these guys, and I think I might need some more. And that is basically it for my review on the Star Wars The Black Series, The Bad Batch. And I just like the amount of just detail, but also the amount of fun I've had posing these figures. Whenever I pick these guys up and pose them around, I can't put them back down. They're really fun to have, especially when you have them as a full squad, such as this. Even to the point that I have given them a specific shelf space just for the Bad Batch. And overall, I really like these figures, but I'm going to give each of them individual ratings, though. If I had to give Hunter a rating, I give him a solid 6 out of 10. Crosshair is also a 6 out of 10. Tech gets a solid 8 out of 10. Echo here also gets an 8 out of 10, and Wrecker gets a 9 out of 10. But overall as a set, I give them a solid 10 out of 10 as a whole set, because they really belong together as a set of figures. And I highly suggest you try and find these guys as much as possible. And yeah, that is basically it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank y'all for watching. This has been Briximus Prime, and I'll catch you guys next time.